Hey, it's me, Duncan, and welcome back to the second episode of the JDA tutorials from MenuDocs. Today we're starting off where we left off last time, and if you haven't checked out that video, check it out, link will be in the description or in the info card. So let's get started by going to our build.gradle file and updating JDA because they released a new version. All you have to do is change the 09 to 19. And if you change that version, you should see that we have JDA 4.19 in our dependencies. We can close this file now. Next up, what we want to do is create a new class. And I'm gonna call that class constants. And in this class, we want to define things like our prefix and the owner of the bot. Because some commands, like an evaluate command, you just want to lock them to yourself. So what we're gonna do is I can't type public today. Public static final string prefix, and I'm gonna set this to J exclamation mark, just so it won't collide with too many other bots. And we're gonna set the owner of the bot, so and that has to be a user ID. You can store a user ID in a long or a string. I recommend using a long because a string uses a bit more memory, but you can use either of them if you want. So we're gonna type public static final long owner. Oh, and this keyboard. And this is gonna be my Discord user ID. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our settings. Then we're gonna go to appearance. And then we're scrolling down to developer mode. Make sure this is turned on. So settings, appearance, developer mode. And if you have to turn on, you can right click yourself and hit copy ID. What we're gonna do next is we're gonna paste the ID there and put a capital L for long after it. So now we have our constants finished. We can close that file. Next up, we're gonna make a new package, and that package is gonna be called objects. And in that package, I'm gonna make an interface. I'm gonna call it iCommand, and we will be using this interface for our base commands. So let's think about what our commands should have for a second. First of all, they should have a command to handle the command. And again, I don't want to return anything from that, so that's going to be a void handle. And we probably want some arguments in there. And I'm going to use a list for it. So list. And I want to return. And that list will have strings. I'm going to call it R. And we also want the event that our command came with. And because we don't want this command to execute in DMs, I will be making this a guild message received event, and I'm going to call it event. Next up, we want to provide some help for the user, which is going to be a string. So I'm going to type string get help. And of course, we want to have the invoke of the command. So we're going to type string get invoke. And that's our command base class. Next up, we're going to make a new class in our root package. And I'm going to call that one command manager. And our command manager is going to deal with storing the commands and executing the commands. So first of all, let's focus on storing the commands. And I want to store them in a relationship with the invoke and the command. So I'm going to use a map for that. So we're going to type private final. And it's a map with a string for the invoke and the command interface. I'm going to call this commands. And it's a new hash map. Next up, I want something that allows us to add commands to this. So I'm gonna make a private void add command. of course, we're gonna pass in our command interface. And let's make a little if statement. So if commands contains key command.getInvoke, and we actually should say if it doesn't contain the command, we're gonna commands.put command.getInvoke and the command itself. So now we can add commands to our list. Next up, let's make a function to execute the commands. And this can be package private because we're gonna call this method from our listener, which is in the same package. Actually, this can be package private as well because of that. So we're gonna call it handle command. And again, our guild message received event. Next, we're gonna split our commands, but first we need to remove the prefix. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do final. Let's say string array. I'm gonna call it split, and we'll make it equal to event.getMessage.getContent raw, and we're gonna replace first. We're gonna do some regex. First, I'm gonna make it non-case sensitive, and I'm gonna do package pattern.quote, and I'm gonna do constants.prefix, and we're gonna replace that with nothing. Then we're gonna split that, and our regex for splitting that is a backslash. We need to escape the backslash because otherwise we're gonna escape the string s plus. And this will split on only white space. And next up, we want to have the invoke that we got. So this is final string invoke, which is equal to split the first item, and we're gonna do it to lowercase on it. Next up, we're gonna check if our command exists. So I'm gonna do if commands.contains key invoke, and then we're gonna create our args in a list. So we're gonna do final list string args is equal to arrays.aslist split. We're gonna sublist that from index 1 to split.length. And next up, we can just do commands.getInvoke handle args and event. And this is how we're gonna handle our commands. Next up, let's create our first command. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new package, and we're gonna call that one command. We're gonna call it commands, and in here we're gonna make a new Java class, and let's make a simple ping command to start off with. Ping command. This ping command implements our command interface. As you can see, we need to import some methods, which is control I in IntelliJ. First of all, the invoke that we're gonna give it is ping. For our help, we're gonna say pong exclamation mark. Then we're gonna do a new line, and I like to add a string on the new line if we do that. Then we're gonna say usage colon one of those backticks, a plus sign. Then we're gonna append our prefix. Then we're gonna append the invoke, and then we're gonna append another backtick. So now we're gonna write the event. So the first thing we want to do is send a message and then edit that message, basically, because that's what most bots do. So what we want to do is we want to say event dot get channel dot send message, and we just want to say pong. If we do it like this, it won't work, and you see IntelliJ is giving us a warning because the result of send message is ignored. If we check this, we can see it returns a message action, and message action extends a REST action. And what is a REST action? For every message, we're sending a post request to Discord, and those post requests are in the REST request model. Correct me if I'm wrong for that. So basically the REST action helps us sending those requests to Discord. In a REST action we have multiple, we have method like queue, submit, and complete. And because this is a message action, we have like add file and stuff to it as well. What we want to do is we want to queue this message so it's being sent. Next up, we're gonna add a lambda callback. So it's gonna do parentheses opening and closing, and in there we're gonna type message, because we're getting a message back from Discord. This message, we can edit the message, and I'm gonna edit it with a format. So we're gonna say ping is percentage as milliseconds. And we're just gonna type event.getJDA.getPing, and we're gonna queue this. So now we need to store this command in our command manager. So I'm just gonna type command manager, make a constructor for it, and we're gonna say add command new ping command. So now our ping command is registered. Next up, we want to go in our listener and create a method for the guild message received event. So in IntelliJ, we can just type on guild message received, and that's it. But before we write any more code, we should type private final command manager equals a new command manager. And in our guild message received event, we're gonna type manager handle command event. So if we're currently gonna, oh look, it's time. So if we're currently gonna start our bot and wait for it to get online. So as you can see, our bot has been started. And if we type J exclamation mark ping, you can see it replies with ping, and then you can see my terrible Wi-Fi that I'm on. But there's one little problem, because if we get a bot to say the ping thing, it also responds. And we don't want that to happen, so let's stop our bot via the stop button. There's one little problem, it stays online. So to fix that, we need to create a shutdown command real quick. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a private void shutdown, and this takes in our JDA. I'm just gonna type JDA.shutdown. And yes, it seems weird right now to make a method just to call another method. But once your bot gets way bigger and you want to shut down multiple things, you can just throw them in that method and they will all get shut down. So what we want to do right now in our guild message received event, we want to create a little if statement. So if event.get a message.get content raw equals ignore case constance.prefix plus shutdown, and event.getAuthor.getIDLong equals constance.owner, we want to say shutdown event.getJDA and return. So this will create our shutdown command. And a shutdown command is nothing special. We don't even need to create a new class for it because it's literally this. Next up, we want to create an if statement to check if our command actually starts with the prefix. Because if it doesn't start with the prefix right now, I can show you what will happen. Currently, just type ping, it will still execute it because it doesn't see that it doesn't start with the prefix. And also we want to make sure that it doesn't respond to bots or webhooks. So what we can do with that is, what we can write for it is a very simple if statement. We just type if not event.getAuthor.isBot and not event.getMessage.isWebhookMessage and event.getMessage.getContentRaw.starts with constants.prefix. And we're just gonna put that one in there. And now it's fixed. So once we wrote all of this code and we start our bot, let's wait for it to start. We can see that if we type ping, it doesn't respond because it doesn't start with the prefix. If you type J exclamation mark ping, it responds. If we get a bot to say it, why is my bot lagging? If we get a bot to say it, it doesn't respond. And if we type J exclamation mark shutdown, you can see that the bot shuts down. And because we made this check for the owner ID, it doesn't work with other people, so they can't shut our bot down. And then as a last finishing touch, I just want to change the game name from JDA to, and I would just want to change the game to subscribe to MenuDocs. And while I will fix some sharding issues on my own bot after recording, I will thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I see you in the next video on MenuDocs. Bye!